everybody. Welcome into the first Daily Cards Live of 2022. I'm Joe Roderick. He's Bob Ramsey, and I can tell you that Rammer and I have been texting about this day for weeks now as to when we were going to be able to go live, but we had to wait until the lockout was over. Rammer's still in his Billikens blue because, hey, Rammer, as the lockout was ending, you were calling a Billikens victory over LaSalle, so you get to stay at the Atlantic 10 tournament for one more day.
Yeah, so it's all fresh to me, and I've just barely glanced at what the details of the agreement are. So I'll probably rely on you a little more. It sounds like they hit where they wanted to be on the money, on most of the money issues. It appears that they're still going to try and get 162 games in. I didn't see an opening date or date set. Is that out there yet?
So they haven't announced all of that yet. So April 7th is the day that we are expecting the season to begin. If you look at your Cardinals schedule right now, I think it's safe to say no major shifts in the schedule, especially since things have already been kind of set. There's no reason to make drastic changes to things. So if you're looking at April 7th as the day, and as I go to MLB.com, they have already wiped off the first 2 weeks of the season, so there is nothing there right now. I do know the Cardinals were supposed to be, I believe it was in Chicago that week, taking on the Cubs on April 7th. I know they were going to be there on the 4th and the 6th. I don't know if that was a series that extended into the 7th.
Being in Chicago that early is stupid anyway.
You know, and you could say the same thing when games be played in St. Louis that early too. But yeah,
well, you might gain 5 degrees.
But they are going to try to get 162 games in on the season. Some of the biggest takeaways from this, and this is one of those days where you just are kind of scrolling Twitter all game long or all day long. Now getting the details, we already knew that there was going to be a universal DH for all, which is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to the game of baseball. So that's a big thing. 12 teams, 12 teams in the playoffs, effective this year too. So that
how's that going to work? Are they going to take the division winners and then the next best 3?
They have said, yeah, division winners and then the best records for that. So that's
okay.
Yeah, and my big thing with that, if you're bringing in 6 teams on each side, think back to the NL West and the way the NL West went down last year, where the Giants and the Dodgers had the 2 best records in baseball. If you're adding this now, if you have the 6 teams in there, how is seeding going to work for something like that? I think that's a detail that we have not seen come out of this yet either. So that's a big thing for this. I think for Cardinal fans who are looking at the team's minor league rosters, one of the things, no Rule 5 draft this year. They have canceled the Rule 5 draft this year, so the Cardinals will not lose any of those potential prospects that were out there. So a guy like a Luken Baker still could be a factor with the Cardinals.
You know, the Rule 5 was established because some of the teams with going back, I have to go look and see when it started, but I'm talking 70 years ago, that they would stash players, and players that had big league ability would be just stacked on a given club's depth chart and just be languishing in the minor leagues, when in another organization with perhaps opportunity, they could get to the big leagues. And that's kind of why it was started. And so we'll see how that develops. You know, minor leagues are getting smaller. It maybe it's not as big an issue, but that is an interesting development.
I think one of the big things out of this, too, there will be a draft lottery for the first 6 picks in the draft. So the 6 worst records in the league will now have a draft lottery. So will there be tanking?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Some teams are
just dumb.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Dumb.
But they aren't going to get that number one pick for sure. You're not going to have the Orioles and the Diamondbacks trying to lose 110 games each season, knowing that they would get the first pick if that happens. So I guess I'd have to look at how the standings went last year to see who those 6 teams would be and just how much of a difference there is, which selfishly, Rammer, being St. Louis, covering the St. Louis Cardinals, that doesn't seem like something that we have to worry about really ever. So if you look back at the 6 worst teams last year, it was the Diamondbacks and the Orioles losing 110 games, Rangers at 102, Pirates at 101, Nationals at 97, Marlins at 95. And then the Cubs were the 7th worst team at 91 games.
And here's
91 losses.
Here's my problem. The Nationals and the Cubs tanked by getting, they sold off their players. And I believe both those organizations want to do an immediate rebuild. They weren't like the Diamondbacks and the Pirates and the Orioles. So, the philosophy of different organizations, you would think would have, but you can't really say for sure what a team's really trying to do. 6 seems a little high. And maybe that's just recency bias because of those 4 really bad clubs that I'm thinking of. It doesn't necessarily ruin the game. It's more of a business thing. So I guess you just have to roll with it, I suppose.
Yeah, players can be optioned no more than 5 times in a season, so we won't that shuttle will get a little shorter, I guess, or maybe you just get more players. You get to see more new faces as the year goes on, and then the amateur draft will be 20 rounds this year. One big thing is that started the morning that seemed to derail things last night was the international draft that was talked about. Those plans have been sidelined until July 25th. So a decision has to be made on that by July 25th. They are debating between that and the qualifying offer that we've seen given out for so much the past several years. So
it comes down to players wanting to have a little say, and if it's wide open, they theoretically can make more money, even if baseball does have some parameters on that. And baseball obviously wants to lock it down with drafting and slots of salaries and that sort of thing. So I can see where that's still going to be an issue.
One thing I have not seen as I'm scrolling through and looking at the notes as this, I guess the MLB Network right now is saying that the ban on the shift has been tabled for this this year, and it wouldn't start until 2023. So there apparently we will not see a ban of the shift for this season. I have not seen anything on a pitch clock either. Oh, pitch clock, shift ban, and bigger bases all coming in 2023.
Hopefully they'll realize that those are all silly waste of time changes that don't need to be done and can correct leaving them on the table for now and take them off the table forever by next season.
So as we go through this and we see the start of the season coming, it looks like players can start reporting tomorrow. They have 3 days to report, so we're going to see a lot of people start heading towards Florida and Arizona if they're not already there. I mean, we know most of those players are already either have homes there, or they've been working out there, or in the vicinity around the area. So it's not like it's going to be planes, trains, and automobiles to who can get to Jupiter in 3 days. I mean, we're not going to see anything crazy like that. But we're going to see spring training get started. It looks like next week. One thing to look forward to tonight is the free agent frenzy and trades. Everything can just start. And I mean, Rammer, we're going to see moves like we've never seen before.
Yeah, because the time frame is so compressed. And for Cardinal fans, we still are holding out hope that the Cardinals will sign a veteran bat, probably, hopefully left-handed or certainly a DH type. I don't think the Cardinals are going to do that, but it'll be a fun thing to watch to see if they fool us. Kyle Schwarber versus going with what you have. Historically, we've said many times, the Cardinals are kind of wait and see. Let's go with what we have. We'll see what we have in June, and then we can start making moves if we think it's necessary. It'd be fun to be fooled by him, though, and they grab a veteran bat.
Yeah, we still have the question about a shortstop and what they could possibly do with that position too. So there are questions. What I will enjoy seeing, Rammer, is all of the moves that are going to be made so fast tonight after what was it, 100 days of zero contact, that nobody was talking to anybody. And then suddenly in the next 2 hours, you're going to see moves being made that usually take days or weeks to get done.
That'll be interesting to see if they do. And if some drag out, I mean, part of it will be the anxiousness to get these new players to their new destination and get them working out with the team. We know despite labor negotiations, players always think spring training is too long. They'd probably like to come in, run some wind sprints and start playing games, get the arm loose a little bit maybe. So, yeah, that will be interesting to follow. Will it come in a frenzy in a couple of hours? Will they drag it over a couple of days? And will the real veterans making the real money kind of hold off for a week or so? It will be fun to follow.
We will stay with you now all of spring training. When news breaks, we will try to be there as fast as possible to bring it to you. And hey, next week we'll come to you live again as we get ready for the start of the 2022 season. Lots of details still to come with this, but Rammer, hopefully you have basketball games to call for the next couple weeks too.
Well, as soon as basketball is over, I think we have to dip into the Claves Online budget and take daily cards on the road. I mean, you're a road warrior anyway. We jump on the road and go to Jupiter. I think you need to talk to the budget people and make that happen.
You know what? He's been your best friend for 30 years, so I feel like you are the one that needs to play that angle rather than just me, the employee.
Okay. I didn't know if it was just Claves or there was a budget department. Apparently it's just Claves.
I think it's just Claves. Yeah, Claves is his Claves is the budget department for this. So we'll get on that. Hey, he's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick, and hey, I remembered which way to point after all these months off in doing Daily Cards Live here on Claves Online each and every day, sponsored by Munganast St. Louis Acura and our friends at Royal Banks of Missouri. Hey, folks, we'll talk to you next week. We got Cardinal baseball to talk about now, finally, in St. Louis.
St. Louis Acura is the only Acura dealer in the nation to win the Precision Team Award for 30 years. How do we do it? By making you, our customers, our number one priority. As others increase their fees and take advantage of limited inventory, we keep our prices low because we remain committed to becoming better than ever and treating you as we want to be treated. We want you coming back and sending your friends and family to a veteran-owned, family-based business you can trust. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.